Game week in the Big Ten. Week 1 kicking off on Thursday night across the nation, and the Big Ten is prominent in the first day of college football. I know we had week 0 games, but it's week 1, and it's Nebraska and Cincinnati in particular on Thursday night. And the Big Ten also taking on the number 1 team in all of college football this weekend. We'll run down all the possibilities, all the possible upsets, and how the Big Ten may fare against the rest of college football this weekend. It's the Big Ten live show right here at the Voice of College Football. Corey Bratta from the Hawkeye of the Storm and myself just coming from the Iowa show that we do every Tuesday. So catch us back to back. And again, it's the Hawkeyes live show at the Voice of College Football. So catch that first and then follow Corey and myself here talking the Big Ten. Corey, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, as we talked about during the last show, there's some good matchups this week and some underrated matchups, even on Thursday. There's a couple intriguing ones, and they start as early as 5 p.m. Central Time. So should be a fun evening if people want to sit and watch college football for, well, how many hours? You got a game, Big Ten games that probably go till 11:30 with Miami, Wisconsin. So this will be a fun one to flip through the different channels. Let's hope that this YouTube TV thing gets resolved.
I was going to bring that up on the last show.
Yeah, that's a stupid... I'm not saying I don't understand it because it's happened. I think it's happened with all of these different providers for so long. And I think sometimes people thought, well, now we're on streaming networks. It's not going to happen. Well, there's greed everywhere, regardless of who it's from. There's greed everywhere. And so, man, sounds like tomorrow's the deadline, Mark. Do you have a prediction? Will that get resolved tomorrow? Or will the Big Ten? There's no way. I can't imagine YouTube TV. They're going to lose so many people. I don't know what Fox wants or vice versa, but they're going to lose so many people if they drop all these Fox networks right before college football starts. I mean, they're literally dropping it the day before the quote-unquote official start of the 25 season.
So a few things come to mind. You're bringing back bad memories of working at ESPN and having to deal with the logistics of sending different streams to different locations. And it was just, we'd have to fire up alternate master control rooms that would only be sending to, I remember the first fight that I can remember was with Cox Cable. And, you know, we got to scroll this, that it's not ESPN's fault and all of that other business. Now, I do recall, this would have been about 3 years ago, that one of the big matchups, because this was an ESPN thing, I believe, at the time, about 3 years ago, was Utah and Florida played on a Thursday night. I think opposite, it was that Penn State-Purdue night where Charlie Jones went off his first game after he left Iowa. And the powers that be had always come to their senses prior to the deadline, whether it was like some big boxing match or wrestling or football. And that was the first time I remember it didn't get resolved. People missed these games on the opening Thursday night. And I think they also on Saturday, they didn't get it resolved until the next week 2 Saturday.
Well, I just know, I mean, unless the rules have changed, there's going to be a lot of people subscribing to Fubo for a free trial, and all these other networks, Hulu TV, just for free trials. And we'll see if those providers allow that, you know, if they just allow people to take advantage of the free trials, because you can do that. And then hopefully YouTube TV, but there's going to be people that just get upset by this, at YouTube TV, even if it's not YouTube TV's fault per se, that, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. It's horrible timing as normal.
And I don't know what your setup is at the Bratta household.
My setup is YouTube TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've always been a cable guy up until a couple years ago. And when I did a transition of Connecticut to Ohio, then I dropped the cable, never went back to the cable. And I had YouTube TV for last football season. I let it drop sometime in the spring. And so I've got nothing right now. So I have to pick something up.
Oh, well, good for you. You waited, you know, and now you'll be able to make an informed decision. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I've had Fubo, by the way. I have had Fubo. So, I mean, it's not like these other services won't work, but it's just like, well, it's going to be risky doing that, especially if you're not under contract.
I watched those 4 football games. I didn't watch them in their entirety other than Kansas State and Iowa State. But all 4 of those games on last Saturday were on just YouTube. The actual network feed, somebody just pirated down onto YouTube.
I was going to say, usually they crack down on that stuff pretty quickly, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And not in some funky way that you couldn't really watch it. It was just, they just blatantly just showed the game.
Yeah, they're going to be battling that forever. You know, that's the beauty of services like YouTube.
So we started to hit on this during the Iowa show. I posted a poll here. Now, this is not going to be Big Ten exclusive, but I did post 3 out of the 4 choices that I put up there in terms of most likely week 1 upsets. And there are the point spreads. And Corey and myself and others have been talking up the Cincinnati-Nebraska game the entire offseason. It's played in Kansas City, but Nebraska is the road team, going to be wearing the road uniforms. Buffalo, Minnesota, that's a 17.5-point spread. Toledo, Kentucky, okay, let's dismiss that one. We can talk about other Big Ten matchups as well. Wisconsin at home against Miami of Ohio, also at 17.5.
I think there's a greater chance that last one hits than Buffalo, Minnesota. And
I do too.
Minnesota's struggled with some MAC teams, so it's not like it's not possible, but I just think that Minnesota is better than Wisconsin. And Miami, Ohio has been a better program than Buffalo overall. I mean, I haven't studied the MAC up and down, but I'm surprised that those have the same line heading into the game.
Buffalo went 9-4 last year. I know Miami's been a really good team in the MAC in recent years. I don't remember what they did last year. I think they were possibly in the championship game.
9-4 is better than I would have expected. It's a good program. I mean, there's some good, solid programs out there. So, not as good as the New York team coming to Iowa, though, this weekend, Mark.
Not as good?
No. Albany, the Danes, the Great Danes.
Really?
No, yeah.
Yeah, Buffalo went 9-4. They lost to Missouri last year 38-0. That was their one Power 5 outing.
Looks like you got a user who's back in the chat for the first time in quite a while. Cigars and Bourbon.
Who do we have?
You recognize that name, Cigars and Bourbon?
I do not.
Says it's been a while. I'm back for the start of the season, so maybe rename or something. So there you go.
Well,
appreciate that.
We need people coming back to watch college football. Sure.
Absolutely.
I am here every night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, folks. Or if there are games, I'll make a decision. If it's not a really popular game, I'll still be here at 10 p.m. Eastern time, or we will show up post game.
You're here every night at 10 p.m. Eastern?
I'm going to be here every night.
Every night of your life? Every day of the week?
Every day of the week. Excluding those times that I call you or somebody else to say that, I tried to put together a pretty good list of people.
How many do you have on that list?
I currently have 3.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just asking. I haven't gotten a call yet, so I'm.
No, I've done it 6 straight nights.
Great. That's great.
10 p.m. Eastern, folks.
Is it possible? Is it possible you never call me?
Then that will not be speaking well of my social life. If you never get a call.
Or maybe the other guys are just knocking it out of the park and you don't need me, which would be totally fine.
It would have been that I would have asked you last because I'm expecting to be turned down.
Well, if you get to me and you ask me, I'll know I was last and that you're desperate. So
no, that's not what I said.
Take that into account.
Had this been going on for the last 4 or 5 months, I would have called off considerable times.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's going to be the case going forward. So,
Mark, I do want to bring up something. This was I record for people that don't watch the Iowa show. I brought it up last hour, but recorded the show with former Iowa offensive coordinator Don Patterson earlier today, previewing the Iowa season. And we looked at the Iowa schedule and compared it with some other schedules across the league. And Iowa's got a pretty balanced schedule. It's difficult. Their most difficult teams they get in Kinnick, Indiana, Penn State, and Oregon. They also get Iowa State on the road. So if you're just looking at Big Ten, but add that in, it's a tough schedule overall. And they have some tricky games, USC on the road, Nebraska on the road, etc. But one thing that he brought to my attention, and I know you know this, but the lack of balance in this conference scheduling-wise is a concern. And I don't know what the solution is other than what I recommended to Don, and that is we've got to start coming out with Big Ten schedules later. Like this schedule was released, I believe, last December. So to me, there's not much of an excuse for Purdue having to play 5 of the top 6 teams and Michigan playing 1. I mean, to me, there is no excuse for that at all. So shame on the conference for doing that. And here's what it appears to me. It appears to me like that's an admission by the conference that we know the playoff committee cares more about overall record. So we're just going to make sure our best teams have the best records. And I'm all for the Big Ten going into the playoff, but I don't appreciate that if that's what's happening. Because if you look the conference up and down in general, the worst teams have the toughest schedules this year, and the best teams have the easiest. And then some of those middling teams like Iowa are middling schedules. Purdue's get 5 of their top 6 of the top 6 Big Ten opponents. Michigan, 1 of the top 6. Wisconsin has just an absolute bear of a schedule. Now there are exceptions. Nebraska has a very favorable schedule. But I mean, we can run through some of the other ones. It's just, I don't know why anybody should have to play 5 of the perceived 6 best teams in the conference if we're coming out with schedules within a year. And my only, if you argue that if the Big Ten were to say, well, the chips fell and maybe they want to attribute it to changes that occurred during the portal season or during the spring, make the schedule after spring. First of all, there's no reason not to do that anyways. With the portal and NIL and, hey, spring football, are you telling me logistically we can't figure out a way to make a schedule in May? Make a May 1st deadline and come out with everybody's schedule. Make it like the NFL. We've talked about that for years. Have a special schedule release. Why are we doing it in December? We don't need to captivate audiences in December. We have the playoff to talk about. We have bowl games to talk about. We have the postseason. Do it after spring when it wraps up, and then hey, you have several months to wrap. I'm not saying you got to do it right before fall camp, but you have all summer to figure out the logistics of it. And then you're able to really say, okay, let's make this balanced. The Big Ten promised us balanced schedules when the new partners entered, when the conference realigned and expanded. They promised balanced schedules. And based on what we have this year, there are not balanced conference schedules. So just your thoughts on that, Mark. That's a issue that Coach Patterson and I both have.
So you have brought up so much here that my mind is spinning to a certain extent because there's so much I want to get to. So I'll try to be brief and try to remember every direction I wanted to go to. So point number 1 would be if the Big Ten is intentionally giving easier schedules to teams that they believe are playoff contenders, shame on the Big Ten. That is a horrendous and horrible thing to do. Should not be doing that. The objective of scheduling, besides thoughts about entertainment, should all be about protecting rivalries and then producing the most equitable playing field for everyone. Those should be the main objectives in producing a schedule. And then you get concerned with, okay, let's move this game up so we've got a really good week 3 and because it's horrible right now. You know, those sorts of things you can massage the schedule. But my approach to scheduling in the Big Ten would be number 1. Okay, the Big Ten did a smart thing a few years ago. Before the 4 teams came in from the West Coast, they were on the verge of going to this model where everybody had 3 protected opponents. Well, not everyone has 3 rivals. Penn State doesn't have 3 rivals. Iowa does have 3 rivals. I completely agree with protecting rivalries. Not everyone has to have the same 3. You get 3, even if they don't make sense. No. So they massaged it where Penn State's got none. They determined they've got no real rivals. That's fine. Iowa has 3. Other teams have 3, 2, or 1. Okay. That's point number 1. Protect the rivalry games. They do that. Point number 2 would be I would simply go, as you just mentioned, with the math of the previous season to say, these are the teams. And we know that teams change, things change, teams get better, they get worse. But there is a general hierarchy to the conference. Some things don't change. So that's a good starting point. I would put a committee in play to say, you need to stay within the guardrails of the previous season standings to produce equitable schedules, but also use some of your insight and knowledge of these roster changes to determine, okay, we've got two, let's say 6-6 teams from last year, but we know that one is trending up and the other most likely is going to take a step back. So we can kind of massage a few things here and there. But generally, for example, Michigan went from, I wish I could remember the exact numbers. Everyone plays 9 games, obviously, against teams that played 9 games. So you got an 81 game record of your opponents from the previous season. Michigan went from having arguably the most difficult schedule in the Big Ten last year to, I know I keep saying Nebraska has the easiest, but I can't believe it's not Michigan, because
it's Michigan, I think.
Their opponents went like, this number stuck in my head, I might be off, like 29-62 in those.
What's amazing
29-52 in those 81 games.
And in my opinion, it will be a shock if they don't make the playoff. A shock, because then that will
go to the playoff.
That will tell me
largely because of that.
But the committee needs to take that into account. And by the way, I'm okay with the committee taking that into account. And if that means a 10-2 Michigan team gets left out, that's going to make a lot of people upset. But if the Big Ten is doing that, like you said, shame on them. I know I could be speaking out of turn on when the schedule was released. I know the week by week schedule was released in December of last year. So maybe I don't remember, because we had realignment, 2 different cycles of realignment, all this stuff. The point is, do it later in the cycle. Rutgers, I just looked up. Thought let's look at another team that's in the lower tier of the Big Ten. Rutgers. They play 5 of the 7 most difficult teams in the country, or in the conference. Excuse me. They play Penn State, Oregon, Iowa, Ohio State, and Illinois on the road. I mean, it's just, and so I would have to look at all of the 18 teams, because they're not doing it everywhere, but in general, it appears that way, that the better teams get the easier schedule this year.
So this is where I agree with you, and this is where I don't necessarily agree with you. I agree with you that the Big Ten, like all the other conferences, the SEC is just as bad at this. They don't look at producing equitable schedules. It just doesn't seem to be any kind of concern. Wisconsin is playing like the complete opposite schedule of a Michigan, where they're playing like a 70% winning percentage from the previous year, and Michigan a 30% winning percentage. That just shouldn't happen. I don't believe, though, although you cite some really good examples, that it is directed at the lesser teams in the conference. Because, for example, Rutgers, they are playing a tough schedule this year. Last year, Rutgers played, on the surface going into the season, the easiest. They didn't play Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State, Iowa, and somebody else in there.
Yeah,
the best team that they played was USC going into the season.
Two things. I'm not talking about last year, but I understand your point. I'm talking about this year. If the schedule wasn't made before this season directly, then it doesn't matter. And then we just go back to, it shouldn't be making schedules in advance like this. Like, that's the whole point of expansion. I shouldn't say the whole point, but a big facet of expansion was we're able to eliminate lack of balance in scheduling. We don't have to just have West teams playing West teams and having a couple of 2 or 3 crossover games. Now, I will say Maryland is another example. Maryland plays Michigan, at Illinois, at Indiana. So that's what, 3. I guess that's not horrible. That's what it should be. That actually what it should be. 3 of the top. So
there's no 6. Oregon, there's no Ohio State, Penn State.
No, but they play those 3. That's what it should be, Mark. I mean, those are 3 ranked teams. Iowa gets 3 ranked teams on the road in the conference, or 3 ranked teams in total. Maryland does as well. So, I mean, yeah, we can measure this out fully. Washington plays Oregon, Illinois, Ohio State, Michigan. So they play 4 of the top 6. And then UCLA plays, at Ohio State, at Indiana versus Penn State. And then USC would probably be in my top 8, not my top 6. So that's balanced. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. It just appears to me there's more of the upper echelon teams that have weaker schedules than vice versa. So we eliminate all of this by just changing the timeline for scheduling. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the last part of that I wanted to address, and we're right step for step, is that college football, this is not just logistically a stupid way to approach it, but from a marketing standpoint, from a PR standpoint, a stupid thing. When there is so much going on in December, you mentioned bowl games and the college football playoffs. There's also National Signing Day that keeps people's attention. So much surrounding that. The transfer portal, conference championship
None of
games,
that stuff should be open in December. None of that
everything
makes
is going on.
yeah.
And the Big Ten is releasing a schedule when they should be grabbing people's attention in the middle of April.
And you're
Or,
also battling college basketball. Like,
well, you're also battling the NFL more
no,
so
you're
than that.
battling it. Yeah, you're battling everything. The NBA, all these things are going on in December.
If I'm college football, and we'll break it down to the Big Ten since that's the show, I wait until like 3 weeks after spring practice is over when that starts to die off, like May 15th. Boom, I'm hitting
Yeah.
everyone with a schedule release, and then you get some attention for a few days. And Major League Baseball, the NBA, leagues that play zillions of games that have much more intricate schedules have proven that you can put together a schedule. Like,
Yep.
it doesn't have to be put together years in advance. It's
Right.
not that difficult.
I don't like teams like Iowa scheduling non-conference opponents 8 years in advance.
No,
I don't understand why that has to happen either. But
it
yeah,
doesn't.
that's out of the conference's control. This is not. I mean, actually, no, that's not out of the conference. The conference could mandate, right? The conference could mandate what their members do at a conference. They did that with the FCS thing a while back, right? Didn't the conference at one point say that
Yes.
we're no longer allowing teams to play FCS opponents, and then they reneged? So yeah, that's just something I wanted to bring up. It's frustrating to me because there's lack of parity, lack of balance this year, regardless of the reason. I don't need someone to come on here and yell at me and tell me the reason why. I don't care what the reason why is. I'm telling you how it can be resolved. So I'm hoping the Big Ten will do that.
I agree with you. In past iterations of the Voice of College Football, I have certainly sliced and diced scheduling, and I have come up with my own formats that I think work. And this is another example. Everyone would be playing opponents who had basically a 500 record from the previous season when you add up the entire schedule. It can be done. I've done it. We've got our buddy, the real MVP, stopping by, Corey.
Oh, boy.
Hello there,
Real.
gentlemen.
How are you?
all
How are you?
doing? I'm doing good. I'm surprised I haven't hopped on. This hasn't just been wall-to-wall coverage of the Dave Portnoy being banned issue.
Yeah, who cares about Dave Portnoy?
Exactly.
I could not care less. I don't need to see him raiding pizzas. I don't need to see him, infiltrating the big house. Or the shoe, whatever. I guess he's a Michigan fan. Who cares? One of the biggest goons in the national media. If he's a media member, he's not really a media member.
Well, he's working for Big Noon this year. Big Noon Kickoff.
Yeah,
so he's a media member.
Well, that's. I don't even want to address that. That's a weird situation. By the way, that's probably in response to. Don't you think, Mark? That's in response to ESPN working with Pat McAfee with Game Day.
Well, that's what other people have stated. So I can't either state otherwise or support that. I don't know. It seems like it on the surface.
So what
I was asking on X today, as you can see right there, there's my tweet. I couldn't even think of the guy's name. I just knew he was from Barstool. Corey could not have said it any better. So exactly what Corey said are my thoughts exactly. Anything I know about this guy is that he's a complete zero. Like, I don't get it.
It's unfortunate because he just appears to not be a real charismatic millionaire. Like there's people that get off on kind of just being known to be kind of jerks in certain settings, and that's what it appears to be. I don't want to make a broad statement about the guy's character because I don't know him personally, but it doesn't I don't know what the hype about the guy is, other than he just sometimes people like that flamboyant craziness and rich people.
So I'm going to mark you all down as not a fan of Dave Portnoy. I guess.
I mean, I just don't
Based
care.
on what I know.
I don't care. That's I guess that's the biggest thing. It's not that I'm not a fan. Well, it is that I'm not a fan because I don't care. It's not that I actively dislike him. I just don't care. You know, just like he doesn't care about me, I don't care about him. You see what I'm saying?
I understand that.
As a human being, I care about him, right?
But he's one of the 5 or 10 people that's going to be representing your conference this year.
Representing my, first of all, I don't have a conference. Okay?
Well, this is the Big Ten show. That's what I was alluding to.
Yes, I'm talking about the Big Ten, but I don't have a conference. Okay. Now, as it relates to your boys over at the SEC, you have your cheerleader, Feinbaum. So you're all set, right? Am I right in saying that?
Oh, we got a few crazy people on our side, but you know.
Okay. Mark, I have to slide, but Durrell, I'm just glad he didn't let me slide before you hopped on, because this was just beautiful to see you in all of your basketball shaped logo-esque ways. And when are we going to get to see your face? That's what I want to know. Is that ever going to happen?
I mean, maybe eventually. I have to think about it, because it's one of those things. Once you do it, you can never undo it. So
yeah,
once you do it,
one of the blessed few. I've seen him a few times.
All right.
Yes, Mark has seen me.
Well, yes, you should have come up to me. You should have found me down in Nashville last year, because you're down
the real MVP can trust me. I will never take a screenshot. I will never reveal the true identity. It will never. His secret is safe with me.
You should. You know what you should do, Durrell? You should.
What?
You should put a mask on, turn your camera on, and label yourself as the fake MVP.
That would be funny.
Anyways, all right, Mark. Go Hawks against the Danes, and I'll talk to you next Tuesday.
All right, Corey. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Mark.
The great Corey Bratta from the Hawkeye of the Storm, and non-Dave Portnoy fan.
Yeah, I got you. I was going to say, well, the reason this story continued to have legs was the Ohio State athletic director commented on it today.
Okay, so what is the truth here?
Well, I don't know what the truth is. Only the people involved know. But from what's been reported was, at first, Dave Portnoy was banned from Ohio State Stadium. He would only be able to do the pregame show before they get in, and then he would be barred from entering in. Ohio State's athletic director came out and says, no, we didn't ban him. Fox has decided he's just not even going to be on the set. He's going to be a virtual host thing where they're just going to have him in, get his thoughts for a few minutes, and then leave. And to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because why would you hype him up and pay him all this money and waste his time just to be on there for a few segments, just to be virtually there?
Yeah, now it's going to be interesting to see in future weeks. Is he going to just suddenly week 2 arrive at whatever location and be part of the show?
Right. I mean, this was Big Noon's kickoff's big acquisition in the offseason. Whether you like him or don't like him, or think he's a bit of a jerk or think he's a cool guy, I mean, this guy does move the needle. And for him just to be there virtually is kind of disappointing, because I wanted to see him and Urban Meyer go at it. I thought that would have been pretty funny to see the first time around.
Well, they've already got a Michigan rep on the set with Charles Woodson.
Correct. I understand that, but he's not he's more professional than Dave Portnoy.
Sure. And I know very little about Dave Portnoy other than starting Barstool Sports. And I know very little about Barstool Sports, except for it's got a reputation as being kind of, what word am I looking for? Not non-professional, but that is the case. Just kind of a rogue, kind of, counterculture, kind of, a new age.
Brash work?
Yeah, brash. The term I'm really searching for is escaping me. But anyway, I think everybody gets the message, and everyone has probably seen Barstool Sports. All you have to do is watch the bowl game that they have been doing for about 5 years, and you will have never seen another college football broadcast like it.
Right. I like their bowl game. They didn't do it last year. I wonder if they did. Yeah, they dropped their contract with the bowl, but I liked it on the CW where they were openly rooting for Toledo.
I have to admit, that it wasn't like, if I had to watch every college football game like that, then it would get old. But as kind of a change up to a game that most people don't care to see, like a MAC team against a Conference USA team in they do the Idaho Bowl.
No, they do the Arizona Bowl.
The Arizona Bowl.
Yeah, the Arizona Sun
Thank
Bowl.
That I remember catching it the year before, and they're talking about point spread. They're making all sorts of funny comments and just not even paying attention to the game half the time. And also, what was funny was they had enough self-deprecating humor to take light of showing the tweets that were coming in criticizing how bad the broadcast was and how stupid they were.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're unironically, I think they were better than Joe Tessitore's. This is for the playoffs for Georgia every overtime against Georgia Tech. So I liked it as a change of pace. I mean, if they did one game a week, I wouldn't be too mad at it, just to change the pace and it's authentic.
Sure.
You all were talking about the Big Ten scheduling. I mean, I know it's not perfect, and it can never be perfect, but in my opinion, the Big Ten's got easily the best scheduling model right now in the entire sport. I like the 3-6-6. You get to play everybody home and away every 4 years. You get flex scheduling, so it counts rivals and teams that don't have rivals. I think it's far and away the best schedule, and I think every conference should adopt that model going forward.
And you bring up a good point, because I had this. So Corey went off on this, and he told me in the Iowa show that he wanted to bring this up because Coach Don Patterson wanted my opinion on it. And you're bringing up the point that I forgot that was in my brain, on the list of like 7 items that I forgot when I addressed it with Corey, that it is easier to criticize than it is to execute a schedule because of the point you bring up. You can't just make an even schedule based on the previous year's record without determining, okay, well, we now have a situation where these 2 teams are going to play 4 consecutive years, or they haven't played in 5 years. You would have to navigate all of those situations as well. So it is more difficult than I presented it there because of that point that you're stating that I forgot to make.
Right. And I also think because of the talent imbalance in the sport, it's much harder than the NFL, because Indiana and Ohio State, if you were looking at it solely based on record, would be basically the same.
Well, and that's why I would have a committee that would have guardrails based on numbers, but they would implement their common sense and their knowledge of the sport and the teams too.
Right. Interesting, Mark. So you're pro committee in this aspect. This may be the first time I've ever heard you say you're pro committee in any aspect.
A committee named by myself. Yes. Maybe I would just work on the schedule. Maybe I would be the committee. Yes, this is one place where I'm pro committee, but they have guardrails. They have guidelines that they have to work within.
I got you. The final thing I guess I'll say is I wasn't able to comment on the week 0 games. I think we can conclusively say who the worst Power 4 football team is going to be this year.
Wow.
It's going to be Stanford. Stanford's going to be the worst Power 4 team. Purdue, not even playing a single game's already lost the title. You look at Stanford's schedule, Mark. Hawaii's the least talented team. They're going to play all year. That was probably their best chance to win a game, especially with the quarterback being hurt and the kicker watching YouTube videos to figure out how to kick. They're not going to win a single game this year, Mark.
Well, they do have San Jose State.
They're worse. They're better than Hawaii as a program.
That doesn't mean they're going to win the game. But I get your point that it's very much in jeopardy, that it's a possibility that the combination of Frank Reich and Andrew Luck could be 0-12.
Right. And if you want, I saw the Jaguar Gator post a video about this. Worst coaching decision of the year, possibly front runner right now, is 20 seconds left. Stanford had 3 timeouts, waited till the clock hit 3 seconds left to go to call a timeout.
So this is what I missed. I think I was on while that game was being played. Yes, I think I jumped on here. So I didn't see the end of the game. And then I went back and I watched the extended highlights. But of course, the people that put those things together don't understand game situations. So all I saw was Stanford scored to take the lead. Hawaii kicks a field goal with like 2.5 minutes left. And I wanted to see, okay, how did Hawaii stop Stanford and what was the time on the clock situation to figure all that out? And the next thing I see is Hawaii's got the ball at the Stanford, at like the 50-yard line with 40 some seconds left, and they hit a pass down to set up the game-winning field goal. But I didn't know the context of what happened.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get into the whole sequence there, but just for the final end, even the announcer's like, "Why don't you use a timeout?" So if you look at the highlights, he has 2 timeouts left. He let the clock go all the way down to 3 seconds. Then he called a timeout. And there's no advantage there in calling the timeout with 3 seconds left, because best case scenario, he misses the kick, you go to overtime. You use a timeout, they run a play, timeout, run a play, timeout. Even if you get the ball back with 5 seconds, at least there's some sense of you can do something.
Yeah.
Whereas in the other situation, it's a walk-off field goal and you're guaranteed to lose.
Yeah, you don't expect that from an NFL head coach.
Well, this plagued him in the Panthers and his final few years at the Indianapolis Colts. He's not a good head coach. He used to be a good head coach, but he's lost it. He's not nearly as good as he wants to be. So they're going to have a rough season. But Mark, it's a pleasure talking to you as always. Can't wait for week 1.
Absolutely. Thanks to Real. We keep it rolling here at the Voice of College Football. Keep in mind that we've got our big marathon starting, and here are the conditions to the marathon. I will be here at 5 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday morning with the intent of going for 24 consecutive hours for the big marathon, but I am a little wiser than I've been in the past. So we've done this for about 5 years, and typically I'm grinding away for 18, 19, 20 hours out of 24. That will only happen if we have the support that we, of course, need. We're running a business here. So if we get the support of the $100 turned over hour to hour, then I will continue on through the day, and I will be here for 24 consecutive hours. So that's up to all of you folks. So we appreciate you showing up, but I will be here at 5 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday. So 2 a.m. on the West Coast. So you can stay up late if you're on the West Coast and join us for the beginning of the big marathon on Thursday. All right, we got Caden showing up. Caden, what's going on?
Yeah, good evening, Mark. How are you?
I am doing just fine. How are you?
Sitting out here at by Hardee's, about to go grab some food, and I thought about something last night, and I said, you know what, Caden, your comments last night to Mark regarding OSU's win against Texas was kind of a bit of a stupid remark, in my opinion. And I sat there drinking like 3 Mountain Dews, thinking that out for a little bit. And I thought, you know what, I'll just come in and say, OSU's probably going to win that game by like a touchdown or a field goal. Just so Matthew Miller doesn't come up in here and start blasting me. So I'm moving my score prediction down that they'll win by a touchdown or touchdown and field goal.
Well, I don't think you should do that just because of Matthew Miller. I think you should do that because you believe that you need to adjust your score.
And that's what I did, Mark. And
Okay.
that's what I did after drinking 3 Mountain Dews last night.
Well, if Mountain Dew is good for you, if that's the thing that needs to kick your mind into place, whatever it does it for you.
Yeah, and the point to someone like Dave Portnoy, the whole shenanigan with Dave Portnoy, I will tell you, that guy is nothing but just an idiot coming into this commentary sport. And you know what? Barstool Sports isn't just about sports. I mean, he does some of the craziest stuff on Barstool Sports. He's been to the craziest places on Barstool Sports. And I've even seen where he's been. I was actually even at one of the spots that they were at, but I didn't interact with him because, well, he's a moron.
That's what I understand. I have seen very little of him. I don't even know if I've ever truly seen the guy talk. So I can't, I'm speaking based on reputation and listening to people that I tend to agree with. So yeah, he gives off moronic vibes. I do agree with that.
I seen him in Vegas about a year ago. I was on a bit of a trip with the local diesel shop for a little diesel meeting. They invited me out for like a little bit of a vacation trip out there just to hang out with some of the guys out there from a diesel shop. And funny enough, Barstool Sports was in Vegas the same week. We were literally going to go, have fun. And
Yeah.
sure enough, there's this big convention that's always in Vegas the same month, every month. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but it's like I forget what that award show in Vegas is called. That's always there every winter.
The award
But
show?
it's just
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of award shows that are in Vegas.
it's Avian. It's Avian.
Oh, the Adult Film Star? Is that the
Yep.
one you're talking about? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And David Portnoy is the biggest dumb piece of and he acts like he's this 16-year-old kid and he just goes off. And I mean, this guy goes off, and I heard him talking to a few of them folks, and oh my God, it was annoying. I just wanted to go up there and slap him in the face for being that annoying. Oh my Lord. Whew.
So you saw Dave Portnoy in Vegas at this award show, but he wasn't at the award show when you saw him going on.
He was in Vegas when I seen him, but it was outside the award show.
Okay.
And I swear to you, Mark, I wanted to go up there and tell him to his face how much of a piece of crap he was, because that guy is seriously stupid, an idiot, and a moron. And I seriously swear, yeah, I'm okay, Uncle Lou. Thank you for stopping by. Lou's a friend of mine. Well, I wouldn't say much of a friend, more like an enemy, but
you guys are friends. You guys are buddies?
Not really friends, but
you and Lou going out to Vegas together to see
no,
Dave Portnoy?
No, unfortunately not, okay. Mark.
All right.
But I'm going to say this. I literally wanted to just get up to his face and just knock his teeth down his throat with my own fist, because how stupid he is
at this point.
But you know what?
I understand what you think of Dave Portnoy. Is there anything else you'd like to bring to the table?
I do want to talk about Iowa State though this year. I do want to say Iowa State is one of the teams in the Big 12 I do have picked to go to the college football playoffs. I mean, from what I saw at week 0 in Dublin, I did watch the highlights of that game. And you know what? I think Iowa State, Kansas State might see each other back in the playoffs in the Big 12 title game. But we'll just have to see where that ends up, because, well, in the world of college football, crazier things have happened in this world. And I could say that. I think we can all agree on that.
Well, the guy you're talking to did predict those two teams to play each other in the Big 12 championship game this year. So I would not be shocked there. However, I would have to say that I do not expect them to both make the college football playoff.
Well, Iowa State will make the playoffs. Kansas State, however, won't.
Well, at this point, they've got a leg up, that's for sure. But that
doesn't like I said, Mark, that's
going to happen for sure.
But like I said, Mark, that's my opinion, and you know, that's just my 2 cents on the matter. So, anyways, I'm gonna let you get on to it. So, well, Mark, we'll see you and have a great week.
All right, Caden. Appreciate you being here. Sonny stopping by. I don't know how you. Yeah, boy, I've got a loaded response for you, Sonny, but I will not say one word, not this time. And it really has nothing to do with the previous caller. Well, it has to do with he and his kind. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know. So we are here to talk college football with all of you for another couple minutes, but not too long, because actually we've added on a Florida State show. So we did a Florida State show for a long, long time, and we handed that off to, dare I say, incapable people. So I guess that's where yours truly has to step in. So we had a disaster of a Florida State show for a few weeks, and those guys are no longer with us. Do I think so? And anyway, so we're throwing together the old crew of James Coleman, Big Game James, Florida State fullback from yesteryear, and George from the Renegade Report, and myself for a reunion on the Florida State Live show. So we get together here in about 10 minutes, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, FSU opens with Bama. They do. And if they can't score more than like 12 points a game like they did last year, it could get ugly. 13.5 points is the spread there. And for my predictions, of course, you can catch those on Patreon or here on YouTube as a tier member at the betting tier. You get my picks. I pick about 20 or 25 games a week. Then you've got Corey Bratta, Steve Dace, Matt Zemek do a 12-pack. And then we've got our buddy Steve Merrill from Wager Talk, who gives us his exclusive Under the Radar selection. So please sign up right here on YouTube or on Patreon to get, hey, I do not advocate gambling, but if you want to throw a few dimes on the ball games, I may have some decent advice for you. And more importantly, again, Steve Merrill, 28-12 against the spread with his exclusive Under the Radar selection every week. We do appreciate Jackson Johnson setting us up with this link, so you can join us directly from here on over to the Florida State show in just a few weeks. It's in just a few minutes. It's Bama week, and right here, the voice of college football. Let's see what's next up besides Florida State. A host of other shows tonight. The next time you'll see me will be Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, talking Ohio State football. On Wednesday, you get me at 11 a.m., 7 Eastern with the Miami show, and then we go late night. All right, folks, appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Continue the conversation just over on the Florida State show on the Florida State channel. Grab the link right there. Jackson, thank you so much for that. And Jackson also and company on the Alabama channel have their show tonight. So we will see you in 5 minutes. College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.